That time of the week, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram and eternal optimist Mac Engel, joined by my good friend, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., man who has covered the Cowboys since 1874. Clarence, that number's, it was a
It's
kind of a
unfair.
general.
Just unfair. It's
Okay.
unfair.
Before we want to thank good people at Window Nation for sponsoring this episode as well as every other episode of Cowboys Overtime. But before we talk about the Cowboys, we have more pressing issues to talk about. Clarence, you and I are going to talk about our daughters, or my daughter and your daughters here for a second. Your oldest daughter, has had an incredible college career at Howard University. And now your youngest daughter is wrapping up a really unique and fun career at high school before I think she's going to go to Rice,
Yes.
unless she's changed her mind. But can you slay the good people, the good news about your daughters, what's happened in the last week or so?
Yeah, my two daughters. My oldest is a senior at Howard, and she texted me the other day. She's speaking at Harvard this weekend. They flew
Harvard
in.
University.
Harvard
That's
University.
Awesome. What's the topic du jour, Clarence? Why did she get invited to speak at Harvard?
I mean, she's a national board member with NAACP, and she won the NAACP Image Award. I think it's about protesting, but so she's their expense paid trip to Harvard, and she said I'll be in Boston this weekend.
Good for her.
So she's speaking at Harvard University.
What about the youngest one? What happened with her athletic career?
And the youngest one, we are Trinity.
Yeah.
She had I got back from the owners meeting yesterday, just in time for senior night, and she won first place, repeated the district champion in all-around competition. I think she got three. She won first in the bars, beam, and floor, and got second in the vault. And she's getting ready to go to regionals and hopefully repeat as a state champ. But yes, we had senior night. I shed a tear. Graduation is coming. We got two graduations in May 13th at Howard University and May 28th for Trinity. So I'll be broke in May.
Yeah. Well, my daughter turns 14 on Saturday, and I know you went through this before. Just saying that out loud, I'm like, oh my God, where did it all go? So, do you have any?
Just buckle up. Buckle up. It goes fast. I'm just from that 14, that 17 to 8. I mean, it goes. Time flies. You know what they say when the days are long, but the years are short. The years are short, and they really go fast. And when she started, when they get to high school, it just flies by. So
they get so busy.
Enjoy every moment of it.
I've one of the best pieces of parenting advice, just advice actually in general. But it's funny. I meant to ask you this one time. So this guy, old neighbor of mine, he's got two daughters. Wonderful guy, UT grad, fierce UT grad. His name's Kelly Barrett. And Kelly told me, make every age your favorite age. And I really heard that. And I made sure to enjoy all of it. And I have. But, one thing, I don't know if this happens to you on social media or maybe your iPhone. I got something happened where all these pictures on my phone came up. And they had music behind it. I didn't program it. It just happened. And it's all these pictures from her when she was 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it really bothered me. And it's bittersweet.
You?
Pardon?
It bothered you? No, because that happened to me last night. I was at the gymnastics meet. We were taking pictures. And I just remarked to someone, that's a great thing about Facebook because it brings back memories. So it showed me some pictures of her 8 years ago at a meet.
8 years ago.
I mean, and she's just a little tiny pixie gymnast, and now I see her now. And so I enjoy seeing the memories. My Google Photos does the same thing. It'll bring up pictures and has a whole collage of all these old pictures of her and my two daughters and us together, them by themselves. It'll just come up on your timeline.
Yeah, that's and it bothered's too strong of a word. It's just kind of bittersweet. I mean, they're great experience. I'd rather have those experiences, but I noticed in that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that's gone. And another good memory's coming up. It's none of that, but yes. I noticed it really kind of nailed my heartstrings a little bit. Well, congratulations to all of you, your daughters especially, for their great college and high school careers. That's a heck of a lot to be proud of. I remember when your youngest was at our house, she was terrified of our little dog. your daughter was like 2 and she was terrified of our little dog. But
Yes.
that's really neat to see how well they've done. All right, let's move on to the task at hand, which is discussing the continued offseason developments of the Dallas Cowboys. You have just returned from Phoenix, where the NFL owners conducted one of their annual meetings. You had a chance to visit with Jerry Jones. Great work on that, by the way, as well as your conversation with Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy. Clarence, when we've done these before, especially a year ago, we would sit there and lament all of the things the Cowboys didn't do.
Right.
Now, a year later, we seem to be celebrating what they have done. And that is, they had some goals, specifically in free agency and this whole time period of the offseason. And I can honestly say, I think they've pretty much accomplished what they set out to do this offseason. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly had desire, needs, and goals and a plan to get better. After back-to-back 12-5 seasons, back-to-back losses, playoff losses to the 49ers, the Cowboys knew they needed to do some things differently. It started, with Mike McCarthy and changing the coaching staff and taking over play calling and moving on from Kellen Moore. But it just didn't just end there. That was just part of the process, in the beginning of the process. This would be a new offseason for the Cowboys, and we do things differently to hopefully get over the hump. This 27-year gap since they last won the Super Bowl. That's why he was brought here. So free agency, they obviously re-signed Tony Pollard. They decided to move on at running back. He's going to lead running back. They moved on from Ezekiel Elliott. They moved on from Dalton Schultz at tight end. They let him go to free agency. They re-signed Donovan Wilson and Leighton Vander Esch. They made 2 trades, things they haven't done in the past, to supplement their roster, supplement the needs. Number one, they got Stephon Gilmore, a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year at cornerback. They got him in a trade from the Indianapolis Colts. They also traded for Brandon Cooks, a receiver from Houston, Texas, a guy with a 4.3 speed. Stephen Jones talked. We wanted juice. He said at the combine, he said, that they wanted to add juice to the offense, and they did that by bringing back, by acquiring Brandon Cooks, which is also a tacit admission that they made a mistake by getting rid of Amari Cooper, or they didn't do enough to replace Amari Cooper when they decided to get rid of him. So
they made a mistake.
All of that.
I don't think anybody. I think, Clarence, when you and I talked about this last year, the guys that they brought in, Washington, Jalen Tolbert, all these other guys, Michael Gallup, not less than a year removed from an Achilles. I can't remember, from an ACL. It was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. They moved on from Amari Cooper because they didn't like him, and then they just were fooling themselves about the other guys who were going to fill in for that production opposite CeeDee Lamb, and it didn't work. It was a bust. So going out and getting Brandon Cooks, you're 1,000% right. Now, they'll never admit it, or if they'll do admit it, it'll be 10 years from now. But not in the immediate moment will they sit there and say, well, gee whiz, we messed up, so that's why they're doing it. Like, no, this is an opportunity for us to get better or an upgrade. It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
Clarence, there was one thing.
Well, I just said that they continued to, improve. They got back Dante Fowler, defensive end, and yesterday on Wednesday, they brought back nose tackle Jonathan Hankins. And so all the holes, all the needs that they wanted to accomplish, the things that they want to do in free agency, they've done. And obviously they could still add a player, but the major needs that they've done it so they can go into the draft and have a pure approach to the draft and take the best player available.
Clarence, there's one thing that I think it was Jerry who said it, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is concerning the status of right tackle Terrence Steele. Now, Terrence suffered an injury late in the season. I believe that was an ACL or an Achilles?
Torn ACL.
ACL. And at the time, this guy was an undrafted free agent when he started. And at the time of his injury, he might have been their best offensive lineman. If not, hang on.
He was playing well.
Okay. He was playing really well. I mean, he really, really was. So then he suffers the injury. He goes out. Tyron Smith comes back from his injury. They shift him in. So the line was okay. Now Terrence Steele's going to come back. The Cowboys are going to bring back veteran Tyron Smith, which I didn't think was going to happen because of his contract and his age, and the play of Tyler Smith and Terrence Steele. Now Jerry says Terrence Steele's going to be a swing a swing offensive lineman,
Swing
and they're going to put. So I some of this, and I know it's Jerry, and I know it's April or March or whatever, but Clarence, tell me how this is going to fit and look, because the idea of Terrence Steele not going back to right tackle, you're gonna have someone's gonna have to explain that one to me.
Well, you say it's Jerry talking, but Mike McCarthy didn't shoot it down. We asked him whether they're going to try Terrence Steele at guard. So if you're trying and going to experiment with Terrence Steele at guard, what are you saying about him at right tackle? He's not just starting right tackle.
I don't know. I don't get it. What do you think?
So Tyron Smith, they believe, is a better pass blocker, and they want to protect Dak better. Terrence Steele is certainly the superior run blocker. They think that Tyron can get to that level at right tackle. If he has a full spring, full offseason. The question is, you can't trust Tyron Smith to stay healthy. So this whole scenario, they want to try to have a set group of offensive linemen, which they haven't had since Mike McCarthy's been here. But you can't. Tyron Smith has not played a full season since 2015. For the last 3 seasons, he's missed more games than he's played.
Okay, Clarence, real quick before we move on to the next topic, I realize again I have to qualify this question with the idea that this is March,
right? It is March, and so a lot of things could happen.
Clarence, in their mind, from what Mike McCarthy said, what Jerry Jones said, give me their offensive line today. If they're starting training camp right now, what's their offensive line?
Well, you don't know who you're going to play at left guard, but every other position is pretty clear. When you got Tyler Smith at left tackle, and they really like Tyler, and they want to keep him there.
They want to keep him at left tackle.
They want to keep him at left tackle.
Tyler Biadasz at center.
Tyler Biadasz at center. Of course, Zach Martin at right guard, and now Tyler Smith at right tackle. With trying to find out, they did sign a free agent offensive lineman who they're going to try left guard, and they're going to experiment. It's just March to experiment with Terrence Steele at guard as well. But keep in mind, all this could change in the draft because they could draft an offensive lineman. Steve Avila from TCU is certainly an option as well. And he would certainly fit into that guard position, at 26.
All right, let's move on to the next topic, because Mike McCarthy mentioned it to you guys out in Phoenix that his priority for his quarterback is that Dak Prescott play 20 games and that Dak Prescott reduce his turnovers. Now, I think anybody who read the comments or listened to it did not take that as any kind of shot at Dak.
No.
Hang on. What Mike was basically, the way I interpret is Mike was basically saying, hey, the sky's blue, the water's wet. We've got to get our quarterback, who led the league in interceptions last season for the number of games played. We've got to get that number down. Ball security has got to be a priority. But Clarence, Dak's no dummy. He knows it. So what do you necessarily? I mean, so many of those picks last season were on his receivers. A fumble was a fumble.
But some of them were decision making, and so it's not just Dak turning the ball over and the receivers and the decision making. When Mike McCarthy's talking about, certainly he wants to keep him healthy. When we're talking about playing in 20 games. 20 games in the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That's the thing about 20 games.
Right.
But he talks about fixing the offensive line and changing how they do things philosophically with the focus of keeping Dak healthy, helping make faster decisions with the ball, getting the ball out, all those things. That's what he talked. He also talked about the secret sauce. We're gonna limit some of the things, take some of the responsibility off of him at the line of scrimmage, so he won't be checking as many plays as they did in the past, and it can make faster decisions. That's part of trying to put the best blocking unit up front. That's part of changing the scheme and what they do and how they call plays to help him make better decisions and get the ball out. That's part of why they wanted to go get Brandon Cooks to open, the field up for guys like CeeDee Lamb, and also make plays down the field, because you have, a better receiver, better route running thing that you missed when you lost to Amari Cooper. The Cowboys too many times last year, whether it was Michael Gallup or Noah Brown, they have no separation.
None. No, you're right.
There's always tight window throws, so you want to do things that helps. It's not just Dak, it's also everything around him helps reduce those turnovers.
Clarence, one quick other subject in regards to Dak Prescott before we go to break. One of the things that I heard former NFL players, former Cowboys say about Dak Prescott, and I don't know if we've talked about it here on Cowboys Overtime or not, so we're going to bring it up again because when McCarthy says, okay, we got to bring down turnovers, okay, that's great. We're going to change some things schematically, okay, that's great. But the one thing that I'd heard, I think George Teague said it. He's safety for a long time in the NFL. Nate Newton said it. You know Nate. He said their concern about Dak was he doesn't see it. And you know what that means. I know what that means.
Hang on.
Let me just finish the question. Let me just finish the question and go ahead. Do you think, having seen him play now, and you know what doesn't see it, is he doesn't see the play. He's not reading it right, basically. Which I'm like, I don't know if I totally buy that, because you don't play as well as he has, win as many games as he has over a long period of time without seeing it. But clearly there is something that he's missing on that part. Do you buy that or not?
I don't buy that. I think that I mean, I've talked to quarterbacks, and none of the quarterbacks say that.
Okay.
I Troy Aikman, and I've talked off the record with different Kurt Warner analyzes every play, and obviously you can there's people pick out a play from the 49ers game when this guy was wide open, and but you can do that on every play with every quarterback, and so.
No, but that one, Clarence, you got to admit that one was bad.
It was bad, but I mean, if you talk to Kurt Warner, the decision he made to throw it where he threw it was not a wrong decision. Which
one? The one to Gallup or the one underneath towards CeeDee Lamb?
The one to CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
The one to CeeDee Lamb, because everybody sees. You're talking about the one to Gallup where Zeke's wide open in the flat. Well, that was.
I didn't even think about that. I just thought about the throw. I wasn't even looking at the.
You're talking about the throw to CeeDee Lamb, where everybody says that T.Y. Higgins was wide open. Well. You got CeeDee Lamb on a linebacker. The decision, that was a good decision. It was poor throw, whatever else, but the decision was not wrong. There are many plays where there'll be multiple people open, and we go, well, it ended up bad, so he should have thrown here. That's just part of football, and so I push back on the issue that he doesn't see it. And I know the narrative. Well, he's taking this off his plate. That means that he's not smart. No, that's not what Mike McCarthy's saying. That's not what he's doing. We're talking about taking just some of the checks at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes we can, just because you see this front doesn't mean you got to change from a run to a pass. We can just run into it based on our block and see how we do things differently, that we can handle it better.
All right, it's a great discussion. We got more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime right after this break from Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back here on Cowboys Overtime. Thank you very much, Window Nation. Clarence, you've got your hand up.
I do have my hand up because I just want to piggyback on one thing, because when you don't win, people overanalyze everything. And I would like to remind you that before the start of this season, an analyst said, he decided that Patrick Mahomes was not the best quarterback in football anymore because he played playground football. He did one read in playground football. Only because it's out there. This was said. Analyzing Patrick Mahomes. This was after he won a Super Bowl, then he lost one, then he lost to Joe Burrow, and now he's got the best quarterback.
Mahomes was the best quarterback in the NFL.
Listen, I'm just saying, since he showed up, he's been the best. But people, when you don't win, people start nitpicking. Or he's not sick. So there was a narrative before this season that Patrick Mahomes, played too much playground football.
Fine with me.
He's been to 5 straight championship games. He been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2. But that's the narrative that people have when you suddenly don't win. Okay, so and especially then you talk about somebody who hasn't won. So all of that, people can come with whatever they want to come up with.
But Clarence, I remember your friend Keyshawn Johnson talking about this years ago. This is like 2007, 2006, and he said Tony Romo is the most hyped quarterback in the NFL. And Tony's a smart guy. Tony was like, yeah, he's right. That's the position. That's just the Cowboys.
Right.
If you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to get it. And you're going to get paid, and you're going to get opportunities that exist because you are the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But there's a price on the other side too, and Dak's dealing with it now.
Yeah, we get nitpicked. Everything you do is nitpicked. And, it's funny because I was talking to somebody else. You would think Dak was the only quarterback that lost in the playoffs this year. No other quarterback lost, just that. The way it's
it is weird. I'll say this. It is weird to me. No, and it is – and I Josh Allen got his rear end kicked by Joe Burrow on the Bengals.
Exactly.
Right? And he was home, and he had it handed to him. Josh Allen's great. It's the whole thing. It was like it was no different than when Peyton Manning was early in his career. People were killing Peyton Manning.
Because he lost Tom Brady. Because he couldn't beat Tom Brady.
He lost Tom Brady. He was one guy that beat him because they had a better defense.
Yes.
All right. This next subject that we're going to talk about, I'm filing a silent protest. I guess it's not silent because I'm talking about it. But we agreed you had this subject, and I guess we got to bring it up. Any chance the Dallas Cowboys are going to bring back Ezekiel Elliott?
No. No. But
why'd you bring it up?
Because it's a narrative that came out of the owners' meetings when Jerry said, we're not closing the door on Zeke. And so everybody on Twitter, well, they're going to bring Zeke back. There's a chance Zeke comes back. It was not my headline. I buried it in my story.
Don't shoot the messenger.
I buried it in my story because there were other things to talk about. But keep in mind, and I just wanted to bring it up just so we can discuss it. Keep in mind, there are two things, part of the Zeke thing, that the Cowboys didn't even offer him a contract. They did not even offer him a pay cut. They also gave his number away. Stephen Gilmore's wearing 21. And that was kind of a sensitive thing, actually an internal thing that they told, it's like they didn't know how to announce that and that when they were going to.
The number 21 was going to a new player.
Yes, because they just basically, said, damn, you already gave Zeke's number away. But, so there's Zeke does not have a home. There's a chance, he has some wish list of things, teams that he would like to go to. And obviously, it may not be till after the draft. And when he finds out, where he goes, if he goes anywhere, he could be available. And Jerry Jones said the Cowboys still need a kind of a power bat that they want to offset or complement Tony Pollard with. But I just don't think it will be Zeke. And one reason why they did not offer him a contract is because they didn't want to insult him. They'd rather him go to the market and find out what he's worth than them give him a low ball number.
Buy that.
Oh, yeah.
You buy that they didn't offer him a pay cut because they didn't want to insult him. I buy they didn't offer him a pay cut because they don't want him on the team anymore.
I'm just saying that it's still a negotiation thing, and they like Zeke. There's no question they like him. But I think that they were ready to move on. But certainly in a similar role, if he's gonna take a $1.2 million salary, you bring him back over Ronald Jones, to a certain extent. But
you would bring him, Clarence. Given
what I'm saying. Well, I guess what I'm saying is it's like DeMarcus Ware and Emmitt Smith, and they want Zeke to be around the program. They don't want any hurt feelings.
Yeah, I get that.
And part of it is when you insult him contractually, then they're lingering hurt feelings. They'd rather you go to the market and find out what you're worth.
All right, let's go to our last subjects. We're going to have some fun on this. These aren't necessarily going to be Cowboys related, but general sports related. The Texas Rangers opening day is here. Rangers have been embarrassingly irrelevant since about 2016. They've had this has been the worst era of Rangers baseball.
That's how baseball go?
That is how baseball go. I do miss Ron Washington. The Rangers have a new general manager. They're in a new stadium. They have spent on 6 players $800 million guaranteed dollars. The latest is on former Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom, who will be the starting pitcher, their ace, which given the contract they gave him, he should be. They have a new manager in Bruce Bochy. They brought back pitching coach Mike Maddox. They have all these great moves. Clarence, you've lived in town for a long, long time. You've seen the Rangers be really bad. You saw them go really up, 1 strike away twice from a World Series championship. Not that I need to mention that again because that's fun. Should we care about the Rangers just yet, given how bad they've been?
It's opening day, and there's always a buzz around opening day, and so the afternoon game in the ballpark and all that other stuff, and we don't have to worry about the heat. I'm kind of in the mode of they got to show me, because it's been so bad for so long. I think there's apathy You know,
Oh,
I don't
it's
follow the
incredible.
Rangers as close as I used to. I don't, you know, there's apathy. It's like, well, okay, people go to the ballpark for a night out of the town
No, it's going to it's state
like
fair food. It's a
yeah.
picnic.
Let me go there and just for something to do for entertainment. They don't go
Yep.
there because they think the Rangers have a chance to win or do anything. And especially it's frustrating when you have Houston doing what they're doing down the road and winning these Super Bowl, World Series, and being a contender. And the Rangers are a baseball afterthought right now.
The over-under, according to Las Vegas odds makers, on the Texas Rangers 2023 season win total is 81.5. Now, they won 68 games last season. That's a big jump. If you take the over, that is a big, big jump. You talk to Rangers management, they thought that team should have won about 75 games last season. But they didn't. They didn't win 75 games. They won 68, and they won 68 for a reason. Now Vegas likes them at 81.5 as an over-under. That is heavy to me. Give me the over-under. The Rangers aren't going to the playoffs. You don't go from 68 wins to making the playoffs the next season. Even in an expanded format, you don't. But this is what Vegas is setting, 81.5. They've got Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Jacob deGrom, John Gray. They spent a lot of money to be good. Over under 81.5. Give me the over or the under.
I mean, I go with Vegas. Vegas is really wrong. You know, they make money out there.
They're good
Vegas,
at that. so no, give me. Well, what would you take?
I'm gonna give you 80. I'm going to give you 80.
You can take the, I'm taking the under too. I'm with you. Yeah. Like, show me something. Prove me wrong. Give me the under.
You know, and the thing about the Rangers is that, you know, historically they've been a power hitting offensive baseball team.
Yep.
You know, I go back to Juan Gonzalez and there, you know, A-Rod, the era of the long ball, and who should we be excited about? Who should fans be excited about seeing at the ballpark? I mean,
that's a great question. Josh Young, seriously, the former Texas Tech third baseman, he started last season. I think he's going to have to do some things with his swing. I think that's a really long swing, but it's hard to get into Corey Seager's.
And Young been hurt though. I mean, we've been talking about.
No, he had a nice year. And Major League Baseball has made some changes. Obviously, the no shift anymore and all these other things. That should really benefit him. I mean, his numbers should jump significantly. But he's an invisible guy. He's your typical Scott Boras client. Comes in, produces numbers, and leaves. They paid him the same contract that they gave A-Rod. They gave him 10 years at $250. You bring up a really good point. There's nobody, Clarence, I think, with that team, unlike with the Cowboys. Now, granted, football's different. Cowboys are a different beast. But even go to the Mavericks, go to the Stars. There are players there that fan bases can really jump on and gravitate to. The Rangers really don't have anybody because they brought in these guys, and then they lost, and nobody loves them yet. Right. And so, to me, it would be Josh Young. All right, last topic real quick.
No. Before we get to the last topic, since you brought up the Mavericks.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with the Dallas Mavericks? You go from one series away from being in the NBA Finals to not even in the play-in game?
Not even in the playoff game. So I looked this up. Since 1980, there have been 15 times total, 15 times. It's like 168 teams. 15 times has a team made the conference finals and then followed that up the next season by missing the playoffs. Forget the play-in game, the playoffs. Do you know how hard that is? And normally when that kind of collapse happens, the team was broken up or you had major injuries. Like when LeBron left the Cavaliers, when the Warriors won the title, and then they missed the playoffs the next season because Steph was hurt, Clay was hurt, Durant was gone. That's normally what happens if you go from the conference finals to missing the playoffs. They smashed the panic button because Jason Kidd and Luka Doncic were desperate for talent. They gave away good parts, not great parts, but good parts to get Kyrie Irving. They were 6 games over 500. Maybe it was 4 games over 500 the day after his first game. And now they're probably going to miss the play-in game.
And it's unfair to blame all this on Kyrie because Kyrie.
It's not. It's not. It's the roster. The roster's right. They signed Christian Wood. They traded all this junk to get Christian Wood, and Houston just wanted him off the team. He's a bag of empty stats. They signed JaVale McGee. Jason Kidd decides he doesn't like JaVale McGee, so they've got nobody who plays any defense. And Clarence, can you name me anybody on that roster that you think another NBA team would want after Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, no one. And the ones that they did want, they traded away.
They traded away.
Yeah.
And now the problem is Kyrie's going to be a free agent here in a couple months, and nobody knows what he's going to do. And you're going to have to give him $50 million to stay here.
Right. And then the big elephant in the room is, will Luka stay?
Well, he's locked up for a little while longer. And I know Bill Simmons is a big NBA guy, and he's projecting LeBron's going to sign with the Mavericks. It's obviously just talk. But I mean, the one thing that, one of the things, Clarence, we always heard, people don't want to play with Dirk. People are going to want to play with Luka. Well, it hadn't happened yet. The Kyrie Irving thing, that was a trade. Porzingis was a trade.
Right.
Mavericks still have never been able to go out and get top-tier free agents.
Yes.
All right, last thing real quick. Final Four is in Texas. Unfortunately, your alma mater just barely missed in the Elite Eight by losing to Miami, gagging away a 10-point lead in the last 8.5 minutes. We don't need to go there. Clarence, the Final Four consists of mighty Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State in the first game, Miami against Connecticut in the second game. Tickets in Houston at the Giant Dome Stadium are going for as little as $50. Meanwhile, the women's Final Four, which is in Dallas, that's a hot ticket, in part because Caitlin Clark at the University of Iowa may be the best women's player that we've ever seen.
In South Carolina.
People love Dawn Staley. LSU. Kim Mulkey, your good friend, Kim Mulkey. Tigers coming across the state lines to visit all our good friends in Waco. I can't remember a Final Four that generated as little pop as this one. And I got to tell you, I'm all in on it because it's absolute chaos. And it absolutely destroys this idea that if you're not a heavy NIL program or a Power Five, you can't do it. Well, they did it. Do you have any idea who's going to win this thing?
I don't. I mean, San Diego State, Florida, Atlantic, Boca. Great university. They have no fan base. No one's coming to show up. CBS is mad. Houston's mad. No one's coming. No one cares about the Final Four. I think UConn's played the best throughout the tourney. They should win.
They have. All right, we went way too long. Clarence, congratulations to your beautiful daughters. I'm really happy for them and for you. That's great that they have had such fun high school and college careers. Congratulations to you and your family. For all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs, be sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com. We will see you next week here on Cowboys Overtime.